Hello, Stars fans. Steven Sports Information Director Nicholas Petroni. On the fifth episode of Speaking with Stars, today I'm joined by Steven's head soccer coach, Kurtis Boardsen. Kurtis, how you doing today?
Doing well, just keeping the family healthy, staying busy, and getting prepared for this summer.
First question I ask everyone is, are you staying safe, and how is your family and everyone else holding up?
Yeah, we're doing very well here at the Boardsen household. Everyone's been healthy, getting outside as much as we can in our own time and getting exercise in, drinking our water, taking our vitamins, and doing the whole social distancing thing. So as good as can be expected.
How has your daily life changed, especially work-wise, but even in other areas since mid-March?
Well, the biggest thing obviously has been, not being on campus. I miss my office. I've never thought I would say that in terms of thing, but my big whiteboard and my office and the way I had things set up for recruiting and so forth, having that flow and being used to that for so many months during the year, not having that as efficiently as I do here at home is something that I certainly do miss there. And then obviously the interactions with colleagues and the coworkers. I missed my coaching staff, seeing Allie and Charlie every day, and obviously, not being able to practice and go through workouts with the girls to get us ready for this fall has been difficult. But, a lot of things we set up in lieu of being on campus, and we had a pretty successful spring.
At the time the campus closure was announced, there were a lot of contingencies that had to be developed in a short amount of time. What was your message to your team? What were the focuses of your program then? And what are the focuses of your team now?
So originally we shut down and getting ready for that, we were doing a lot of workouts in the morning as a team, obviously utilizing our 24 weeks of practice in preparation of getting ready for the following year. We anticipate a lot of changes with our lineup and with our formation and so forth going into fall 2020. So we were doing as much as we could to prepare for that. As soon as it was announced that we were going to be sending our students home and closing campus for the spring, getting a few ideas set up so that we could maintain conditioning and fitness and strength training goals were a priority for the coaching staff. So we actually ended up developing a competition that we held via social media, via texting, and through our group chat to maintain, accountability for fitness amongst our captains. That included, running our fitness tests, providing workouts the girls could do on their own, utilizing whatever space that they had to get as much fitness in as they could. So developing that was something that we took the time to do about a week after the closure. Honestly, the first instinct that I had whenever the closure was announced and everything was going on in the world was getting all of our students, not just my soccer players, but all of our students off campus safely, home safely, doing as much as we could to assist them in that process. And I think at Stevens, after the confusion, kind of the panic settled of, oh my gosh, what's happening? I think everybody on our campus did a wonderful job of preparing our students for the remainder of the semester. The professors doing the virtual classrooms, none of my women had anything but good things to say about the preparation the professors put in, so hats off to them. And then, them having the discipline and the self-accountability to make sure that they're getting through the fitness and the conditioning stuff to be ready for fall with no coaches around was incredible too. And I think that everything leading up to this point has been positive for our program.
You alluded to how workouts had changed since the campus closure in mid-March. What kind of feedback have you gotten from your returning players about how things have progressed during the last 7 or 8 weeks?
So we actually set up a competition for our conditioning goals for our returning players to get them a little more inclined to work out. The best thing was they were running and getting strength training done and so forth, and then they would send records of their workouts to the coaching staff, and then in turn we would kind of plug those into a point system that we developed. One of the biggest ways for them to earn points was finishing highest in a lot of the conditioning competitions that we had, including like longer runs, sprints, those sort of things. And they could earn points based on how they finished that one. And I think making it into a game, as every coach wants to make conditioning as fun as we can, turning it into a game and a competition with, prizes amongst our team was a big deal. The winning team, we split up into two teams, and the winning team got to help design the shirts for our fall 2020 season. Individual winners received free passes on workouts in the fall in terms of maybe getting out of a couple sprints here and there. So it was kind of one of those things where the harder you work now, the more benefits you had later. And not to mention, obviously soccer being a very fitness-based sport, the harder you're working now, the easier the fall is, and it's a lot easier to earn a starting spot or a spot on the field if you can perform harder and at a higher level than your teammates that are competing for that same spot.
Before looking ahead to next season, one of the events that unfortunately was canceled was commencement, which was scheduled to take place at the beginning of May. One of your outgoing seniors, Megan Ely, your all-time leader in several categories as a goalkeeper, was set to take part in that ceremony. How disappointed are you for her that she doesn't get to go through it at that time, but you get to celebrate with her and her family in August?
Yeah, it's never easy to see something that big in terms of life events be put on hold. Obviously thrilled for Megan for completing the years that she had here at Stevens, and salute her for everything she'd been through and what she gave to this program. She set the bar very, very high for goalkeepers. And, we've got a young goalkeeper in Kaylee Swinford, another one coming in Cordelia Dallum from Camdenton, and they got big shoes to fill. They're going to have to work very, very hard to meet the same kind of criteria that Megan put forth for this program, and keep elevating this program to a higher level. Can't say enough about Megan as a student and as an athlete. She worked as hard as she could in everything that she did in her daily life. And, it's great to see that she earned this degree, and that she's going to get out in the world, into the professional world soon. And even though it's delayed by a couple of months, and she's still going to get to walk and do everything that goes involved with graduation, I know that that's a date that was circled on her calendar all semester, and she was working very hard to it. So to not be able to celebrate it as early as we would have liked is certainly disappointing. But I know that, in August when she comes back to walk and getting to see her parents again is going to be another bittersweet moment, because obviously you hate to lose a player and a person like Megan. But obviously you're so happy for her, because this is the goal. You come to Stevens, and while we love having our student athletes on the field and working hard for us and getting all the successes and accolades they can on the score sheets, we want them to graduate, and that's our ultimate goal as coaches. And so it'll be great to see her, be able to do that in August.
Looking forward to next season, two of your three captains have already been named. Talk about those two individuals and what the plan is for deciding a third.
Yeah, so this spring we went through a voting process and kind of a coaching decision, based on the year that they had and the kind of the buildup they had to spring. A lot of our players got some insight into seeing players after the season and during the season. So our two captains that were named in early March were Jesse Scott, who was going to be a junior for us, and Devin Dowell, who will be a sophomore for us. Starting with Jesse, you want to talk about like one of those girls that just really gets everybody on the team going. Her spirit is very well received by every single person on our team. She's a very outspoken leader. She expects a lot from everybody on the team, including the coaching staff, which is awesome. She holds everybody accountable, and she's very self-disciplined and pushes herself very hard. She was a captain for us this last year, though she was coming back from an ACL injury, so she didn't get to play very often. But seeing as that she didn't really get to do a whole lot with us all fall, and then worked her way back into pushing in shape and strength all spring, for her to be chosen as highly as she was by her teammates, that really reflects who she is as a person. And it extends more than just the skill play on the field. As a freshman, she did a lot of really, really good things for us. And I'm excited to see how she performs with this group once she gets back at full strength and she's ready to go. Devin Dowell, obviously, is a sophomore coming in. She was kind of our Iron Man this last year. She did not miss very many minutes at all. As a center mid, as a freshman in the American Midwest Conference, that's a very, very tall task to ask of any player, especially when coming in as a freshman. So her number one thing I think that everybody just respected from, her as a standpoint was the work ethic and the work rate. She's one of those girls that would always be down in the fitness center, running between classes and working out. She's very much a lead by example, and she's, again, one of those very outspoken. She won't sugarcoat a lot of things, but she is very, very well liked by her teammates. And so it was exciting to see a player like her step into a role like this. And I think it's very well deserved for both players. And I think that we could have probably put a bunch of pictures up on a wall and put a blindfold on and thrown darts and probably had two very good captains. But I think these two are very well deserving of the honor. And I'm excited to see them both in the band this next fall. And then we'll have a third captain named in the fall. We're going to allow the preseason to kind of unfold and see who kind of stands out. There were a number of girls that were very close in the team voting, and the coaches also have a say in the matter. And there were a number of girls that we discussed during that process as well. So it'll be interesting to see how the summer goes, who shows up ready to go, pushing everybody and being in shape and making things go in the right direction. Because not only are we looking for, our better players and our high performing players to be our captains, but it's also finding that chemistry. Who are those girls? Who are the ladies going to go listen to and talk to, and who do they feel is approachable? So between the coaches and the captains, as well as a team vote, we will find a third, freshman through senior. It doesn't matter what grade, what age, it's who deserves it and who gets it. So in the fall, we'll name our third.
With the traditional summer months coming up on the horizon and hopefully a return to normalcy, what is currently the primary focus of your program?
Our current focus is to ensure that eligibility requirements are met for all of our players. We're checking GPAs and hours passed for all of our returning players, and then pushing all of our freshmen through the play NAI process. That can be a little time consuming, but we focus on that because we take the academics very seriously at Stevens, and we want to make sure that we're adhering to all the standards set by NAIA, even through this time when they've set up a few regulation changes and exceptions due to the COVID-19 outbreak. But yeah, we focus on the academic portion now. And then the biggest thing we're going to push is the self-discipline and the self-workouts for all of our players, including our freshmen, to come into camp in August as fit and as ready to go for season as we possibly can be. That way we don't need to use any unneeded time on conditioning and trying to get people to catch up. We want to be ahead of the curve so that way we can push and start getting tactical and technical things built so that we're ready to go for our first games. So that's kind of the big focus for our players. As a coaching staff, we're just ready to go in terms of the summer showcases and tournaments as they start to open back up. Missing the high school seasons in Illinois, Kansas, Missouri this spring was just gut-wrenching to me because I'm usually on the road 2 or 3 nights a week, St. Louis, Kansas City, Springfield, or just the surrounding areas watching games. So, in talking with a lot of my freshmen, I know how much it hurt them to lose a senior season. And I very much could feel their pain because that's one of my favorite times too. I love going out on the road. I love recruiting. So our coaching staff has been doing a ton of emailing, checking out recruiting websites that we use to try to find players, both for this next fall and then the falls to come. My biggest worry, I guess, is going to be pushing towards, discovery in terms of finding those, because a lot of the times in the high school season, that's when we're finding local players that, maybe don't play club or, they show differently with a high school team than they do a club team. So I'm really hoping that this doesn't stunt the growth for any particular player for any program, not just my own. We've got a pretty good database of players, and we've been talking to a ton of girls. I think we're going to have a very, very strong team coming in for fall 2020, and I expect the next class of 2021 to be just as strong.